We recently got a list of the remaining episode titles for Season 2 of Hell of a Boss, and after the recent episode had Fizzarolli and Blitz apologizing and making up, fans were very curious about what the episode Apology Tour would be about. Who will Blitz apologize to, and how will it go? Let's discuss. Now, in the most recent episode, Blitz crossed paths again with Fizzarolli, where we got confirmation on just how deep their history goes, and just how responsible Blitz is for shaping Fizzarolli's life, for good and for bad. We knew from the Season 2 premiere that Fizz and Blitz worked together at the family circus run by Blitz's dad, where Fizzarolli's performance led him to be much more popular than Blitz. Despite this, Blitz developed a great friendship with Fizzarolli, and later in life had some serious romantic feelings for Fizzarolli as well. The night of Fizzarolli's birthday, Blitz wanted to tell Fizzarolli how he felt, so Blitz wrote what looks like a love letter with a heart sticker sealing the envelope and the words "For Fizz's eyes only" written on it. When he looked in the circus tent, however, Blitz saw that Fizzarolli was receiving a card from Blitz's own father, Cash Buxo. This card clearly said, "I wish you were my son," alluding to how much more valuable Fizzarolli is as an asset because of his talent and fame than Blitz naturally is as Buxo's real child. Now, Fizz seemed to truly enjoy his friendship with Blitz as well, but in the back of his mind, he always recognized that Blitz was jealous, and he interpreted this jealousy as turning into a hatred over time, instead of it actually developing into romantic love. While Blitz was jealous, he wasn't consumed by it. It didn't define his relationship with Fizz, but instead, it was probably part of what made Blitz love Fizzarolli the way he did. When Blitz saw his dad giving this card to Fizz, however, it made him upset, as his own father wishing Fizz was his son was a bit too much. In his frustration, Blitz pushed an imp carrying a cake out of the way, and the birthday candles ended up catching the tent on fire. This led to some serious burns for a lot of imps, especially after some fireworks go off right in Fizzarolli's face. This left the majority of Fizz's body in the white scars imps develop after a serious injury, as well as his limbs destroyed, his horns broken down to nubs, and his voice seemingly fried, leading to his Beetlejuice sound he has as an adult. This should have ruined Fizzarolli's life, and at the time, it really seemed that way, but in the end, Fizzarolli got everything he could have hoped for. While the pain was tremendous and recovery was likely very hard, he ended up becoming one of the most famous figures in all of Hell, brought into such fame by the love of his life, who was one of the highest ranking royals. Now, because everything worked out perfectly for Fizz in the end, Blitz was able to easily make up with Fizzarolli by simply explaining that he didn't purposely light the tent on fire, nor did he abandon Fizzarolli. Instead, we can see from storyboards that Blitz says the word "mom" before running off, indicating he was distracted by the fate of his mother, who we have pretty much confirmed died in this horrible accident. Fizz now gets to have his great new life, but also gets the closure of knowing his friend didn't mean the tragic event to happen on purpose, and actually cared deeply about him. Now, the next episode coming out for us is a mid-season special starring Mammon and featuring Fizzarolli again as per its title. While Blitz or IMP could be in this episode, I feel that the inclusion of Blitz in episode 6 was to set up episode 7 to just be about Fizzarolli and Mammon. Following that is an episode titled Full Moon, which is of course probably going to be about Blitz and Stolas meeting up and Stolas giving Blitz an Osmodian crystal to end their monthly full moon arrangement. By the way, sound off in the comments if you want a video breaking down how I think that will go, cause oh boy do I have some ideas. But following that, we have the episode Apology Tour, which I think will be a more direct follow-up to what Blitz went through in this episode with Fizz. Now, after making up with his childhood friend, Blitz will get into his head that he can fix more of his relationships by simply going to them and apologizing, making an apology tour. But of course, I imagine this will go horrendously and horribly wrong. After some funny gags of maybe apologizing to Moxie and Millie and Luna for his general bad behavior, while also continuing to have bad behavior, I imagine Blitz will try to meet up with people from his past, such as Veronica. Veronica is an elite among the succubus, and a famous pop star both in Hell and on Earth. Because of that, Blitz likely lumps her in with the royals. In the most recent episode, Blitz confirmed that he sees the royals, and presumably other elites like them, as all being the same, all just using the lower class imps like himself, the same way they use all of the lower species of Hell to do their will. The royals use their power to create a system that is oppressive to the lower species of Hell, and in doing so, they create a system where they can go to lower class imps and make them feel special and like they are escaping the harshness of Hell by getting close to a royal, only to be cast aside later when the blue blood gets bored. Because of this, Blitz likely had very little patience for Vraska, despite her seeming genuinely in love with him, as per the tattoo of his name on her arm, and how sad she looked when singing about what he had done to her in episode 7 of season 1. When Blitz finally had enough of Vraska, he'd abandon her at a motel, stealing her car keys and credit cards to go get horse riding lessons in Wrath. So Blitz apologizing for this in general is probably a really bad idea, but I think Blitz won't do it nearly as well as he could, and probably will be leaning into a humorous, over-the-top apologizing bit, while being all pompous and assuming the others will forgive him. People like Vraska will likely try to just walk away from the situation at first, but Blitz would double down, insisting on needing forgiveness, and shenanigans would inevitably ensue. As Blitz goes down his list, however, he'd get to increasingly crazy situations. He could, for instance, decide to apologize to Stella for sleeping with Stolas, though we saw in the pilot that this is actually the first thing Blitz did after falling out of Stolas' window and into Stella's tea party. She would of course be angered by the mere sight of Blitz and sick the guards on him if nothing else. Along the way, we might see him go to all sorts of people he wronged in little and big ways, but at the bottom of that list would be his sister, Barbie Wire. Barbie Wire is the other side of the coin of the tragic accident of the family circus. Fizzarolli was destroyed physically, but somehow managed to walk away having everything he could possibly want in life. Barbie Wire had the opposite experience. She is noted by Vraska as having fallen from fame, and after her release from rehab, she's smuggling drugs from Earth into Hell instead of performing or anything like that. She had decent fame and probably more coming before the circus burnt down, and of course, on top of all of this, she and Blitz lost their mother in that fire. This would be the first time that Blitz would have to make a genuine and serious apology, probably taking his time with the others in his life only to avoid this one, because deep down he knows how it would go, which is bad. Barbie Wire has no reason to really forgive Blitz in the way he wants, because to him, forgiveness means smiles and hugs like he had with Fizzarolli. Perhaps worse than their mother's death is that Barbie Wire became so addicted that she had to go to rehab in the first place. I've theorized in previous videos that the root of Barbie's addiction issues is less about the trauma that she went through at the circus, though I would say that does play a role, and more about having to deal with Blitz after the fact. His neediness seemed to be a huge issue that pushed her away from him, and after rehab, she seems to be able to stay sober as long as he isn't in her life. Of course, he also recently ruined the job she had in the sloth ring, smuggling drugs from Earth, so Blitz has that to apologize for too. I wouldn't be surprised if he led with that, acting really over the top and pompous like he might have with the others, expecting her to just smile and forgive him and not think about the greater issues that surround their relationship as twins. Of course, these are just my theories, and while I like to predict how I think episodes will go, most of them end up taking their premises into wildly unexpected directions, so pretty much anything can happen in the Apology Tour episode, and this video may just be another entry in the deep cut fanfiction Helliverse. But what do you think? And is thinking something you really want to have to do? Let me know to what extent you were thinking about things in the comments down below, and I'll think about reading them.